Sauce.
Hey, you like Pez?
It looks like that. Here's Heaney from the boundary line. He's an expert at these. From the boundary line!
Hello and welcome to Behind the Boundary podcast. I'm your host Pez. I'm here with Sauce and we are finally in to week one of AFL Finals footy.
Welcome, Pez. The bye definitely puts things in different perspective, Pez. And I thought last week I was fine. I think I was fine with footy, and I'm like, you know what? I like the midweek bye. I like the bye before finals, and then Friday night came around, and I'm like, what do I do on a Friday night? I went to the pub, and then as usual, but there was nothing to do.
Nothing there, just the the greyhounds and the fake ones that are up there on the screen.
I still won money as well, so I still went up on the app. I found something to bet on. I did our favourite game, Pez, the mystery live bet where you just type in two random letters for Sportsbet and get a nice little multi up.
We promote gamble responsibly on this podcast, Source, so you can't be.
I'm not gambling when it's winning. It's a calculated strategy there, Pez.
I actually haven't lost on the on that game where you just choose random letters and call up Sportsbet Live. But we wouldn't recommend doing that if you're trying to build a bankroll and build your units. And speaking of, that's what our podcast can be all about, Source. And just a quick update, because we already did do the recap in last week's show in the break in the off season. But how are you travelling this year in terms of your units?
Up and about, Pez, as always. Up and about. 5 straight years of wins, Pez. And I'm doing a little bit classic stalling because I didn't know you were going to throw over to me there, Pez. Maybe you can start things off with telling the viewers about your leading.
I was trying to finish with a high.
Okay, well, I'll start off. Well, I'm plus 37.25 units, Pez. So if you had a nice little $25 on that one, you're sitting quite nicely there, Pez. Sitting, what's that, about 700?
Sitting beautifully for 23 rounds of AFL footy. You got 9 games a week, so you figure that out as an average as well. You'd be doing all right. So I'm up 82.36 units for the 2022 season. Unheard of, and finals week starts. But
it's a bit interesting with finals though, Pez, because we have we don't run a set model. We have our different trends that we follow, and we look at different looking for some holes in the market, I guess, when we look at where the bets are, and we still try and do that for finals. But for me, I find finals a little bit difficult to bet to, because obviously it's a whole week of planning, and sometimes it's a little bit more than a whole week. You've spent the whole year looking at teams have been looking at underpinning their game plans, the strategies. Everything's talked up in the media this week. How do you find betting in finals? Yeah,
I'm much the same in terms of I don't love it, and the reason I don't love betting on finals, and I can see what you're about to do with the crack of a can there, but a reason I dislike it is because I'm a footy fan at heart, and putting punting aside, I'm thinking of who do I want for the love of the game? Who do I want to get the victory?
For the love of the game, in what Perry means by that is
any
team that's
club.
not Victorian, because he believes has this ridiculous. Talk the viewers through your ridiculous theory on this, Pez.
Yeah, well, if we're in the workplace and your workplace can go through a turnover and you get new people in, and most of the time those people are going to be following AFL, and if they're following AFL, they're going to be following a club, a Victorian club. So my theory since I was quite young has been, I don't care who wins a premiership, but if it's not my club, St Kilda, it can be any other interstate club. So just pack it on me. So 2005, 2006, beautiful. 2007, for example, I was going for Port Adelaide, who got flogged against Geelong. You head on to 2008. What a nightmare. 2 Victorian clubs that don't involve your own team. You don't want that. So the examples are all there. When Hawthorn were on their three-peat and then they won the one in 2008, it's no good. It's no good for footy because you got all those arrogant fans. Victoria is a place in September, which is usually up and about the CBD. You're up and about, and I don't like arrogant fans, especially arrogant fans that don't follow throughout the season and don't really care about footy until September comes around.
Such an interesting theory there, Pez, because I couldn't agree more. I can't stand those arrogant fans that sit there and, rock up and the week of you go to work and they've got all the colours on there and, so they're still raving on about the footy fans of the footy stars of the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. Couldn't even mention any of the people outside of their franchise player. But, for me, it goes a little bit different. I go away, obviously my team's generally there every year in terms of Geelong, so that makes it quite easy for me. But the moment we go out, I go through my, rivals and the teams that you don't want. So, like, anytime Hawthorn's in there, for me, with the team I hate the most, probably the Doggies, so I'm never cheering for them, but I don't have to worry about them until after the first week. And then sometimes, I find it a little bit tough because I go on, okay, well, the team that knocks Geelong out, I sort of want them to win because then be like, oh, we lost to the eventual Premier.
I've heard that before.
But I hate that as a cop-out at the same thing. So if they're a team that I think is going to be a legit contender, so like last year when we lost to Port Adelaide, I wanted Port Adelaide to get absolutely thumped.
Yeah, but I've heard people say that before when their team finishes 14th on the ladder and they beat the eventual premier and they're like, well, we beat the grand finalists, so we should have been premiers this year.
So I don't like that theory there, Pez. But a lot of the time it's just, what, as a purist of AFL and someone who loves the game, I end up watching all the games anyway. And not having a second team, because I would never have a second team. I'm Geelong through and through. But there's a team that you like watching and you enjoy watching. This year I've enjoyed watching Gold Coast when they're up and about. And the finals is no different. When a team gets up and about and they sort of, the narrative of finals start to, develop and it start to, unravel in terms of the good football being played. You sit there and you're like, you know what? I love watching these boys play and they deserve. I love watching good football and I hope they win.
Yeah, and you can do that, and sometimes you can see past the jumper.
Yeah.
But for some clubs, you can't see past the jumper and what it represents. So this week, we're looking at 3 interstate clubs, and we've got a Victorian matchup as well. But in terms of it, like my heart says, I'm going for the 3 interstate clubs: Brisbane to beat Richmond, Sydney to beat Melbourne, the Dockers to beat the Bulldogs. But then when your punting comes into it, and you think about it logically, if I was to bet on a Victorian side, of course I want my money to come back into my account and I want to profit. So if I do bet on a Victorian side against a interstate side, I'll be going for that side that day because I'm just going to benefit myself. I'm going for money as opposed to love of the game.
Yeah, and that's what the podcast is about, Pez. We are a betting podcast, and we dabble a little bit in the AFL news, and the unique view that we offer is just 2 regular blokes who enjoy a punt and are very good at punting, Pez. If we just do a bit of fig jam, there, very very
fig
good.
Jam from you. Settle down.
But we do give a different sort of insight, and it's good to hear that sort of thing. And I think finals footy is tough betting specifically because you do sort of play a little bit more on your, not heart, but what you enjoy watching. You do try and make that money, Pez, but it's also an unpredictable tangent. So a lot of different styles don't hold up in football finals, as we know. A lot of teams don't perform. There's a lot of anomalies that come into a game, into finals that you can't really strategize for.
And if you are looking at when these teams met previously in the season, sometimes the coaches, they don't put everything out there. Doesn't matter about the game. They don't need to win those games, and they're not actually showing their hand because in some cases you can play in the final 8 structure. You can play the same team in finals twice if that happens. Lose the first week, come back and both make the grand final. That can also happen. Rarely does, but it can also happen. So coaches are always thinking ahead, and it's like a chess match. You got to be thinking 3, 4, 5 moves ahead.
Yeah, and specifically with finals there, Pez, the other thing that's really important is it's your one and done mentality. Everything is on the table. All your cards are there. You've got nothing to lose. There's no, you know what? We'll take a routine loss. We'll go back to the drawing board. Everything is so reactional, and because you need to, because there are jobs on the line. There's premiership, legacy on the line, and as well as that, Pez, there's a lot of money involved too when you're thinking about it. So that's what makes finals such a breathtaking and immersive sort of thing to watch, and it's captivating in terms of the betting because it can be really, really straightforward. And you go, right, these teams here, clear-cut favourites. But then all your analysis, all your trends that you're looking at, Pez, can go right out the window. And as we've seen, you look at some of the grand finals where teams have come from out of nowhere to win it because it's a one day, and whoever the best 22 on the day are, to get the chocolates.
It's not a 3-game series, not a 5-game series, not a 7-game series, not a 74-game series like the NBL final series either, their source.
NBL, they're about to start game 64, so we're almost there.
Oh, they really are. So 2 matches, elimination finals. So this is win or go home. And a unique thing about the AFL as well, they've got 2 matches there that you lose, you don't go home. You got a double chance, but it's so important to win in that first week for Melbourne and Sydney or for Geelong and Collingwood. So important to win because you guarantee yourself a home prelim final unless you're the Geelong Cats.
Exactly right, Pez. We do get a victory in the final there, Pez. But it's so much at stake, Pez, because you can go from prime setup, 1 win away from a grand final, 2 wins away from a premiership glory in winning that first week, to the real tough road and having to play every week of the finals. You talk about fatigue, you're talking about matchups, and it sounds so silly, but so much is at stake by losing that because it can shift whole seasons. We look at Brisbane over the last couple of years. They've had a couple of upsets where they've given away and they've gone out in the straight sets, or they've look at Geelong where they've got that loss mentality over the last 10 years. It can shape legacies in finals, and it can become a mental thing too, which we haven't even spoken to yet.
No, and it's all about managing your list and managing the players. And Geelong have been, famous for resting players coming into it. This is why the pre-finals bye has come into it with the concussion rule as well. That's probably the only thing I would agree upon with the concussion rule. It gives players an opportunity to come back and play a really important game. But then if they get concussed in the prelims source, you can't have a bye after every single finals game. So I don't really love it. If you can manage your list and you're lucky enough with injuries, I think you just go through and ride the momentum. I think the teams at the top that win in this first week source do get a disadvantage because they only play a couple of matches of footy in 4 weeks. So you want to be primed and you want to be ready. I heard Jack Viney talking this week, and he was saying he was managing his feet this year. He's ready to go for finals, and his body's been managed really, really well. So game time percentage and things like that, some of that is out the window because you want your best players on the park, and in that final 5 minutes of a game, you don't want to be stuck on the other side of the ground of the MCG with the ball on the other side, and you've got 3 of your best players sitting on that sideline. You want them on the field, ready to go, trying to get that victory.
Yeah, definitely trying to get that victory, Pez. All right, before we get into the betting, Pez, game that you're most looking forward to, best finals matchup that you're looking forward to, sitting down and enjoying with a few fevs, I was about to say. A few bevs.
a few fevs with these.
If you're having a few fevs, you definitely would be having a night out, which sounds like you've had before, mate.
The game I'm most looking forward to is probably the Brisbane Lions and Richmond, a big cutthroat elimination final. We had some big things happen, a big comeback last time at the MCG from the Tigers against the Lions. So interesting to see up at the Gabba with Richmond as favourites, I believe, looking into it earlier. So that game, cutthroat out, loser out, winner has to play either Melbourne or Sydney away. So not ideal.
Not ideal at all, Pez. I think I'm looking forward to probably the Sydney-Melbourne one the most. I think, seeing if Melbourne can switch that switch as they have the last couple of years when it comes to finals time, and everyone keeps talking about this switch, and last week they sort of switched it on, or was it Brisbane not being able to perform? So really looking forward to that Melbourne-Sydney, that Friday night as well, Pez, that traditional Friday night on the couch, finish work, boom, Melbourne versus Sydney, 2 big cities. It's going to be great.
I think Sydney have cost themselves here because they had a great opportunity against St Kilda last week in the last game to know exactly what they needed to do, and they could have piled on the goals and they could have got that second spot in that home final. You win that one the first week against Melbourne, a home prelim for the Swans would have been beautiful, but we do look forward to it.
All right, Pez, well, let's get straight into it. We've been talking for 20 minutes, but let's get into our what are we doing this one? Bet slip intro. There we go.
The fact that the size of the bets was relatively small.
Now bets with an opportunity about 50 metres out.
I was with a mate, and we were getting sort of ready to leave, and he said, I think I'm going to whack 10 on Maxi. Do you want some as well? And I said,
Oh, yes! Yes! Yes!
Now, Pez, recording early on a Tuesday night because you've got to go away for work means that there aren't a lot of specials out, but there are still some out that you'll get to just after this.
Cyril takes a special and goes bang!
Have a look at you. Have a 1 week off the bye week. You're a little bit rattled. I wonder if any of the teams will come out and they're a little bit, a little bit shaky.
Well, I'm a little bit rattled because I couldn't find the button.
Just trying to stall to find the button.
We went out of routine. Normally I go straight into the bet review, but we weren't able to this week.
That's already done. So just the muscle memory.
Muscle memory, exactly right.
Muscle memory, no good. Now there are there are finals.
Bit rusty.
Specials out. So Sportsbet, they have the bet returns all week 1 finals, 3+ leg same game multi, 1 refund per match. So you got the 4 matches this week. Ladbrokes have the 3-leg same game multi if one leg fails on all finals games, and it's available with $2 lines as well. Neds, they've still kept the 20 plus halftime payout for finals. I'm not sure they would have lost a lot of money on that this year. And the same game multi bonus back all finals games, which is super good, and they've got the $2 lines as well. Now, Bet365, they've got the footy multi-bet offer still. I'm not sure if they got the 32 points up. I know we've had a few listeners tweet in and say, yes, they do, even though it doesn't say it there, but I could not find it, so I'm not going to put it out there if I'm unsure, but if it is there, put it on our Twitter at Behind the Bound tab. They've got the same game multi AFL final special. They don't have the 3+ leg at the moment source head-to-head special like they have all season, so there is only 4 games though, so maybe they're thinking you can increase the odds with only those games there. You don't have the $10s, the $15s, so we'll see how they go. Can't see anything on Moneyball's alternate account there. Blue Bet, they've got the 12 points up at halftime special for all finals, the same game multi offer, and the footy multi offer as well as they have all season. Our friends, well, not our friends, our enemies at PointsBet, 12 up at halftime, you win. Now, I did have to mention that because if you do have an opportunity to have a PointsBet account, and unlike Peasant Sauce here on Behind the Bound, you need to take advantage of that.
Definitely.
Because 12 points up at halftime and you win, and we love people taking money off PointsBet as well.
Yep, make sure you bet for us as well, because they're a horrible betting company, but great special. So
another one, is these your friends at BetNation?
Yes.
BetNation for Vola. The best person to get on as to promote your company. Double your winnings on same game multis. So they've gone a little bit cheeky here, I think, Sauce. Because
I agree, yeah.
the minimum odds is $3, and you can get a bonus bet back up to $50 if you double your winnings. So you put a $50 bonus bet on, paying $3, you get $150 in return, but you'd only get the $50 bonus bet, and they don't offer anything for losing legs like Neds
so you don't
Tab.
get the money in actual double your winnings.
No, it's a double in bonus bets up to $50.
That's not as good, actually. I did misheard that the first time you mentioned that before.
For every game, and first goal scorer advantage. Money back if your selection kicks a goal in the first quarter. So they're trying to get people to pick the big
actually
forwards.
don't mind that one in terms of that's the only time I would sort of look for a first goal scorer in finals, because you look if you can get a key forward, you get the team you think is going to get a jump in there, you got a good opportunity to get the first goal, and almost most of the odds are about $6.50, but then you at least have some insurance.
Yeah, I don't love betting on first goal scorers, but it is a cheeky bet every now and then if you want to dabble in a little bit of fun.
Yeah, that is a good way to look at it, Vez.
You got any others from your friends over at, what is it, MintBet?
Picklebet I have. They're
Picklebet.
not friends of the show, but I did see this one. Any team to win by 40+ points on Saturday only. So the Doggies game and the Cats game, $4. Not great at all.
40 plus, okay. If you think the Dockers can smash the Doggies, or the Doggies can come out the other way and Geelong can take care of the
We
Pies.
think the Cats can get it done, Pez, against I was about to say the Hawks. I am a little bit rattled, actually, Pez. I'm a little bit struggling with the Tuesday night. It's been a busy day at work.
Now, do they MintBet? Nothing?
MintBet didn't have anything, no.
Oh, well, your friends over there aren't doing the job. They didn't know we were recording on the Tuesday then, did they?
No, they didn't know. I didn't let them know. Sorry, Pez. Just making sure that nothing's come through late in their very functional website, Pez. I can pull it up, no dramas at all, and nothing to report.
Oh.
Actually, sorry, I tell a lie. They've got the AFL Sport Special, 4 favourites to win across the weekend. Richmond, Melbourne, Geelong, Freo, $10, maximum bet of $20. So if you think all those teams are going to win, you get $10 on that one, Pez, which is quite good odds, because if I've just done it here on Sportsbet, that gives you odds of $5.55. So if you think all the favourites are going to win, that's $10. But as we spoke before about finals, that's not always what ends up happening.
So also, I hope your bet slip looks a little bit better than your performance so far.
I'm struggling
tonight.
a little bit.
A lot of stalling, a lot of going around on this Tuesday night. So let's get into the actual bet slip. There's only 4 games to talk about. We're going to talk about what we're betting on and why, and if we're steering clear, and why.
Yeah, we might also talk about some of the different things that we expect to see from the teams, the trends, and maybe what the teams could possibly do, predictions of who's going to win. Start things off with the Thursday night, Pez. Brisbane taking on Richmond at the Gabba, $2.04 to Richmond, $1.81. They are the favourites. The Higgs there, -2.5 is the line. Over under 178.5, $1.88 as usual with Sportsbet pairs. Now this game's really interesting, as you said. Richmond actually going as favourites, which a home team in a final, generally that gives you a home. It means that they've won, that they've finished higher. Two, it normally means that they're the better team. This is a really unusual situation here.
Yeah, because Brisbane got the shit kicked out of them by Melbourne the week before, and Richmond have been, flying into finals because they had a disappointing start to the season. That's the reason the odds are like that. But if you do like the home team and you do like Brisbane to get this first win, they haven't performed in finals in recent times, but that's what you can bet on and get some decent value on that over $2 there for Brisbane. Now, where I'm looking is that under source. You mentioned it at 178.5, and looking at that there. If I look at the previous meetings from these clubs' source, we've got this year they played in round 20. It's a recent game. It was 201 points total game score, regular season game. The year before, 2021 in round 18, they were about 192. So pretty consistent there. Round 10 from that same season, 2021, they were 102 to 74. So 176. So that would have been under there. And then in 2020... they had finals week 1. It was 69 to 59. We know that is possibly the shorter quarters, the 16-minute quarters there, but quite low scoring in a final. And that's where I'm looking to go. Now, I'm not sure on all the trends and things like that, but usually in a cutthroat final with team defenses, rising, the coaches are putting all cards out to try and stop every single person. I'm looking at the unders in this game. So even with Dustin Martin coming back in and being spoken about, he's going to be playing up forward because he might not be match fit, I still don't think there's enough. I know there's, Tom Lynch, Jack Riewoldt, Dustin Martin play up forward, Shea Bolton for Richmond. You got Danaher, you got Charlie Cameron, you got these other forwards up at Brisbane who can kick a high score and have been known to do that. But 177 is too high for me in a cutthroat elimination final at the Gabba. I think it'll be tight and contested and around 150, something like that. So I'll put 2 units on at Bet365. I've gone 1 point less, 177.5, just so I can have that cash out option if I need it.
Yeah, love that, Pez. I totally agree with what you're saying. We discussed this a little bit on one of the other shows that we had about how it seems to tighten up in finals, and we've gone back and done the research. You've looked at their last 10 head-to-heads and why Sportsbet and why Neds and all that have the line so high. I went back the last 3 years of just Brisbane alone finals and playing some really high-scoring teams in Port Adelaide, Geelong, and Richmond as well, previously back in the first year of the finals that they were there. The scores for the last 3 years, 153, 157, 123, 124, 177, 163. The 178 and before that we mentioned, not once has that gone over. I think it's going to be really close to the getting under, and I think the game is going to be a lot tighter. I do really like Brisbane in this game. I think Brisbane, the uncertainty of the way that they've performed has really made the sports bettors and the punters and that really sceptical of Brisbane, but they match up so much better than Richmond. Richmond, we forget 6 rounds ago that they lost to North Melbourne, and I know that they got the shit kicked out of them last week, Brisbane, but they were playing the premiers from last year. Richmond have been scraping in, and in their last 6 or so games, take off that North Melbourne game, they sort of limped home against certain teams. They had an easy win against Hawthorn, but realistically, they finished 7th. They are a team that is definitely, I think, on the decline, and we're sort of worrying about the Richmond pedagogy. Not pedagogy says pedigree. I'm really struggling tonight, Fez. We're worrying about that, but I think if you take away that, all their ratings have them being the team in form. They lead the Tigers in tackles, goal accuracy, attempts inside 50. Clearances, contested possessions, and then rating points too, Pez. So when you're looking at their best players, their top 10 best players for Brisbane definitely outweigh the potential superstars and out of form players because they haven't been playing in Dusty Martin for Richmond. So my money's all with Brisbane. I've got 2 bets, Pez. I don't know if that, because I couldn't really find much to bet this weekend. I've gone just 50 to 2 units on the under, 178.5 on Neds. So I've gone over to Neds for that extra couple of points. No cash out option, but pretty confident with that 178.5. And I've also gone a 3-leg same-game multi with Neds, Pez. I'm all over the Lions. I think the Lions are great value at home. They've got a lot more to play for than just elimination, Pez, because If they fail again for the 4th year in a row in finals, this potentially could blow up. And they might need to look at some drastic changes there. And we know sometimes that the first person to go is the head coach. They love Fagan up there. They love him. And maybe they need the change of culture. But I think Brisbane have a win in them. I've gone them to win the under 178.5 and Brisbane plus 13.5 pairs, 397, 3-leg same game multi, 1 leg fails, money back, 2 units.
All right, all over Brisbane there. Now, genuine probably bounce back spot if you were looking at bounce back opportunities. Brisbane getting flogged, Richmond travelling okay to the end of the season, and Brisbane playing at home. Less pressure on them maybe from the media because they're not expected to win, being the underdog, but we will see what happens and unfolds on Thursday night at the Gabba. Absolutely huge clash. And then it will lead us in, Source, to Melbourne taking on Sydney at the MCG, not at the SCG.
Yeah, really looking forward to this game, Pez. As I said, Melbourne come in hot favourites at $1.46. Outside of Sydney, the Swans $2.73, minus 13.5 is the line. Over under 163.5. Pez, this is going to be a huge game. The Swans are looking to make up for lost time. You know, remembering their heartbreaking loss last year, where they lost from 5th against the Giants by 1 point. Melbourne looking to defend their title, and you know they're hitting form. Everyone keeps saying that they're hitting form at the right time, but we forget 2 weeks ago that they limped at home against Carlton, who eventually did not even make the finals. So not a great sort of lead into the finals for Melbourne, having a nice convincing win over a team that's finishing 5th and almost losing to a team that finished 9th. So this game's going to be very, very exciting, Pairs. I expect a high scoring for finals, a high scoring game, and a fast paced final. A lot of inexperience in the Swans. Melbourne will have most of their premiership players back there.
Yeah, Melbourne, I think, are primed, and despite what people say, limping in a few different things, what they did against Brisbane, who are quality lineup in my eyes, I think that they deserve to be favourites here, $1.46, as you said. The Swans playing at the MCG, I don't love the outfit at the MCG with the South Melbourne or Sydney Swans, whatever you call them. I think Melbourne, with their list and their injury list, the players that they'll take into this, are primed and ready to go for a huge, huge final series. You got to remember, they won the premiership, Source. They didn't win it in Victoria. They didn't win it on their home deck. They want their home fans to see another premiership as much as they probably wanted to win last year's one at Optus Stadium. So sometimes it's very hard to go back-to-back, but I think Melbourne have that extra little bit of confidence, an extra little bit of something about it with their fans to be able to do that. So I'm actually putting my money on Melbourne, despite saying I like going with interstate. What I've done is same game multi at Neds. I've gone alternate line of under 192.5. I can't see the Swans lineup kicking over 192 combined with Melbourne. I think Swans will try and contest that defensive 70 metre out, whatever it might be, with the McCartan brothers trying to intercept some marks and run down the wing. But Melbourne's pressure has been absolutely elite. I think Melbourne will take away this game. I've put them plus 23.5 as an alternate handicap, but I've also put them at the $2 line of minus 12.5. I really like that. I like them to win by 4+ goals against these Swans, and I think they can do it pretty easily on the Friday night. And I've put 2 units on that one at $2.31, Source.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, Pez. You know, you talk about the home final aspect, and most people, when they go into finals and teams are looking to repeat, the mundane aspect of going through the regular season, they say that, we just want to get back to finals, and when they get there, and obviously they've got the premiership glory there, but when teams have been there for a long time and they've had multiple opportunities at success, sometimes they say it gets a little bit stale. We just want to get to the grand final and just win our trophy. You're right there, Pez. It's a platform that I hadn't even thought of, because realistically, they're doing this in front of their home crowd. It's a whole new ball game for them. They did it, interstate last time in the hub, limited sort of, Melbourne dominant fans playing in front of a packed MCG. Well, in front of their home fans is a different element that I hadn't actually considered that. So that's really good. But Sydney have had their troubles on the road as well. So Sydney come into Melbourne 3-3 on the road. But one of their rare wins actually was during this season against Melbourne at the MCG, where they won by, I think it was about 10, 15 points. They controlled the clearances. They were up and about. And I actually don't mind the Swans in this one, Pez. I am not confident enough to back them in head-to-head, but I don't mind the line there. And I think that it is a bit of a gamble. And I like what Sydney have done in the lead up to it. I think that their list is quite good. They've got that sort of great sort of mix of experience and that young blood coming through. I think Melbourne are a little bit shaky, and I've been on this bandwagon for a little bit, Pez. I don't believe in the Melbourne, that they can just turn it on yet. I just believe that when they all click, they click. So I'm going a 3-leg same-game multi with Neds, as I said. Not super confident in this one, but
Not selling it.
not selling it all, but I'm going the over 132.5 pairs. I think it will be well under what we spoke about before, but I think it will be over that alternate total points. I've gone Sydney plus 36.5, and then I've gone Ned's $2 lines plus 12.5, $25, 1 unit, $2.38 pairs. But I'm really looking forward to this, and I think I'm sort of betting a little bit with my heart there because I do want, Sydney to get up and win them because it makes it easier. That Melbourne probably will go the week after that and play. Who do they play? Brisbane. They play Freo. I like their chance of that, and then they'll be on our side of the draw, and we can kick them out because we're going to win the first week, Pez. But
You want to play Melbourne in the prelim?
no, they're not going to make the prelim. But yes, I do. I'd rather play them and beat them there than beat them in the grand final.
So
I'd much prefer to beat them earlier in the thing than beat them. But they were not about Geelong, Pez.
Wow.
But I'm more on the side of I don't believe Melbourne this year is as good of a side as they were, because I believe last year they just put it all together and everyone outplayed from their potential. And this year they're playing to their actual potential and they're not as good as everyone is thinking them.
if we're on the confidence Richter scale there, I'm on D's minus 12.5. You're on Swans plus 12.5. I'd be giving myself a 9 for the way I explained it. And then the confidence factor for you down at about a 3 source. So you just
when the units start coming in, Pez, we'll see. All right. Speaking of hoping, Pez, let's get into the Cats taking on Collingwood. A 4:35, an unusual time slot, Pez, but the AFL has explained it. This is what Geelong has requested because the AFL is unable to give them the home final in Geelong. They're hoping that a 4:35 time slot, Pez, get this, this is really good. 4:35 will be a prime time for people to travel up the highway to watch their football team at the MCG. They've given Geelong members an extra hour and a half of ticket sales before Collingwood's there so that they can actually provide more of a home ground advantage for Geelong fans being their home final.
I did not hear that.
Yeah, very interesting, isn't it? So the split will still be 90-10 Collingwood-Geelong, but anyway, it was good for Geelong trying there. Yeah, I got a ticket, Pez. Interesting, though. Our ticket sales went on at 10 o'clock, unable to purchase them until 11:30. Stuck in queue.
Until the Collingwood fans
Collingwood, very interesting.
A bit of a glitch in the system.
Yeah, a little bit of a glitch there. But anyway, Geelong taking on Collingwood. Geelong coming in hot favourites, $1.43, lowest of the final series pairs. Collingwood, $2.87 outsiders after their quite a remarkable season, Collingwood. And, what they've been doing and limping home, finishing fourth pairs with, the 9th best percentage in the league is pretty incredible.
Yeah, 104.3%. With as many wins that they had, coming from 17th on the ladder last year.
Huge turnaround.
New coach into the top 4. And this is one of those teams. I can't remember a team in recent history, Source, and you throw one at me on Twitter at Behind the Bound, throw one at me if I just can't think. I've gone blank, but I can't think of a team that isn't, in my eyes, a top 4 team.
We said this the same year that Collingwood ended up making that grand final where we were like, no, we don't believe in them. Don't believe in them. Don't believe in them.
Did they win it?
They didn't win it. No, they lost to West Coast.
So didn't believe in it.
But they made it.
They're up by 5 goals.
Up by 5 goals. They should have won.
No, but yeah. It's the same sort of feeling. So 2018, maybe it's just because of my hate for the jumper, but I don't see them as a threat. I see them losing this week, and that would mean, where did they finish 4th? So they'd have to play at home, either Fremantle or the Western Bulldogs. So you'd say that you'd give them a chance in that, but they're not winning in the prelim, Source. And I'll go out and say that now, and I'll take all the slack in the world if that does happen. But I think Geelong win quite handsomely here, Source. I've gone a 3-leg same-game multi with Neds. I think they've managed players at the old aged care home, and they'll be fine on the bus down to the MCG. Although the supporters aren't all that up and about. But I don't understand the Geelong supporters thinking that they're going to play finals. They're never going to play big finals at Kardinia Park. They're not going to get the same crowd. And the AFL is all about making money. Yeah. So if you're playing against Collingwood, you're going at the MCG. If you're playing against Melbourne, you're going to play at the MCG. Richmond, MCG. If you're playing against an interstate side like Fremantle, which we've seen in the past, you can go down to Kardinia Park when you've got your capacity and you've fixed your stadium and things like that. But I don't see it ever changing where Geelong will get big home finals against big Victorian clubs at Kardinia Park.
Yeah, I totally agree, Pez, and you know my stance on this. I think it would be wonderful if Geelong could host a final there, but in terms of AFL being a business and in terms of Geelong and revenue, I want the games to be at the MCG because not only is it the home finals of football, it's where the grand finals played. But what I dislike is obviously the advantage and how it can shift suddenly depending on the supporter base. So you look at the Richmond final a couple of years ago where it was you and I were there. Geelong finished higher, and it was a Richmond home game basically.
Oh, yeah.
And it will be very similar with the Collingwood aspect thing, Pez. But what I do like is now that commentators and media personnel are starting to talk it more into existence, saying that, you know what, Geelong should have the right to have it. And whether they have the right, and whether they ever execute it, it's a lot of that acknowledgement is the way. And as you said, eventually, I think it will go down the pathway of against interstate clubs. They'll be able to host it there. But it'd be the only team in a sport that doesn't get to use their home ground for finals, which is pretty crazy when you think of it like that.
Yeah, it's
pretty crazy.
It's strange, but
imagine going into the NBA and Chicago's playing, and
if you play in a
grand
grand final
market, you have to go somewhere up the road.
If you're playing the grand final in interstate club, you finish first. You've won all season.
But that sort of narrative is around everywhere,
because the MCG is the home of finals, and if it's the home of finals, all big finals are going to be played there. And
but you shouldn't have to justify that just like AFL finals.
If I'm thinking about Geelong, and I'm say on Geelong's side, I don't want to play 11 home games at Kardinia Park. Because I want
11 wins.
No, I want to play some at the MCG. I don't want to go to the MCG for one of the first times in finals. Look what happened to Brisbane.
They still play so many teams at MCG/Marvel as a away game. And that's where it's shifted. The last couple of years, they're like, oh, you play half your games at the MCG. It's like, yeah, we do, but we're now actually playing them as away games. So we still do play a fair chunk of games at the MCG, or not as many at Kardinia, but Alphabet.
Interesting to see if you can finish that off that stadium in the summer. And
it's only going to 50,000 anyway, so it's still going to be tiny.
Yeah, it's going to be like a Marvel-esque.
Yeah,
you're not going to play a big final down at Marvel.
No, you wouldn't do that, would you? You wouldn't do that if you were the Dogs. The Dogs would never host the final there against Collingwood.
No, who'd they host the final against?
Your mob, wasn't it?
I'm not saying anything more. But
let's get into the betting aspect of affairs. You said you got Geelong's going to win big.
Geelong,
which I loved,
winning big. So I've got an alternate handicap plus 19.5. I've gone the under 165.5 points because I'm just going this week. The narrative that is finals footy, tight, contested, low scoring footy, and Geelong minus 16.5 at the $2 line. 1 unit on that. It's paying $4.08 Source. So big win for Geelong, but the under in the total game score.
Yeah, really like that, Pez. I'm a Geelong fan, as everyone will know, but I'm also a realist when it comes to this sort of stuff. I'm really worried about this because of the mental side of things. Geelong's previous finals and just games after a bye, we really struggled. The last 4 or 5 years, we've been lucky to get over 4 or 5 points in the opening quarter.
Geelong's fault there's a bye.
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. Anyway, what is different this year is that, it's Chris Scott in his 11th campaign, finals campaign, Pez, 12th year as a coach, is finally starting to adjust. And that's what I love about his season this year. And I've been his biggest hater, you know that, Pez, but I'm actually liking what they're doing. They've got that great mix of old players and experience who have been able to be rested coming into this.
They've played players in different positions.
They've been playing players in different positions, Pez. Cameron will be a test with his hammy, but was having breakfast with a bloke on the weekend, Pez, who gave us the he's playing. Sneaky in, he's definitely playing this week.
He loves it, Jeremy Cameron. He's not going to miss out on this.
No, he spent the whole week fishing, and that's all he does, Pez. He's really good mates with Ryan Griffin from when they were up at the GWS. All he does is fish, and his hammy is looking pretty nicely. So a little bit of an insight there, Pez, which I'm sure everyone's saying he's playing anyway. But what I also like is that the youth has been injected into that side, Pez. And not only that, 13 games in a row. This is the most in-form and dominant Geelong side that we've seen in a long time. And every other years that they've been in there, they haven't been the top side and been as dominant as they have been. Their game style is playing well. They've got the right, they've got the right players there. They're playing a team like Collingwood who has, yes, limped in there. But the only reason people are saying that Collingwood will win it is because they're going, well, why can't they? But why can't they win it? they've had 9 games where they've won within 9 points
Because their list isn't as good.
because their list isn't as good. They haven't got the finals experience. Geelong are an outfit, and they can't afford to lose this game. They will win this one big, Pez. And I love what you said about it.
Cheeky.
About winning big, Pez, because the only reason I put this down is because we had a cheeky, and you know that I've got to go the Cats. So Geelong 40+. I've gone Tyson. Actually, winning. Sorry, 40+, because then it says fixed winning margin 1-39. That's terrible. Right, so Cats to win by 40+. Tyson Stengel to kick 2 goals, and Geelong's alternate handicap Pez +7.5. Odds of $5.48, and I've whacked a cheeky 10 on that one.
Yeah, that's cheeky. I like it. 40
Really,
plus.
Look at how that's written, Pez. It's gone the 40+, and then straight next to it's gone margin 1-39.
Yeah, that's the bet in the bracket. Source.
Terrible.
Come on,
Make it easy
learn
for
how
someone.
to read.
Make it easy for someone who's struggling already.
You're on a punting podcast, and let's get into Saturday night. What time is this game? I'm very interested. Fremantle
it's
versus the Bulldogs.
8-10 game, Pez. So it'll be prime time over in at SBS Stadium in Perth.
8-10 on the eastern seaboard of Australia.
That's the one, and perfect timing for me to get to the Union there, Pez, and have a couple of froths after Geelong winning big and me collecting my $50 of my $10 bet. But let's get into the Freo Doggies game, Pez. $1.46 favourites are the Dockers. $2.73 outsiders are the Doggies. -14.5 is the line. Over under 160. Pez, 160.5, which is quite low considering what we've seen in the other games. 165, 163, 178, and it sounds like it's only 3 or 4 points, but it's quite a big drop off actually.
Yeah, it is, but that's because Fremantle are known for their defensive game style, and over the past few seasons they've been doing it, and they have been showing a little bit of offense where they've been able to go and kick goals. But usually when it's over in Perth, they like to keep it nice and snug in the score line, and sometimes it doesn't help them in those games because they might lose it by 10 points, but it's like 70-60. So we'll see what happens here. The Bulldogs like to move the ball. They like to get the ball inside 50, and if they can clunk the marks, they're able to score high enough to beat a Fremantle side, because Fremantle aren't guaranteed a win here at home, Source, because Fremantle don't usually kick a score high enough at home. So they have to play really good defence against the Doggies, and they have to play like they were in the first half of the season. We remember all the people on Twitter who came out and said, oh yeah, Fremantle are contenders for the premiership this year. Fremantle are going to finish in the top 4. Like, it didn't happen. Fremantle were really disappointing in the latter end.
But that didn't also happen because of injuries, though, Pez. They had a fair few injuries along the way, and they had that unstable sort of forward line that they couldn't work out.
Yeah, but I called it as I saw it at the time. I didn't see them as a contender. I still don't see anyone in this game as a contender for a premiership. So 5th versus 8th.
The Bulldogs are sitting 8th, though, Pez.
Oh.
They've limped into finals, and they're playing away. Surely they're premiership favourite.
Oh, they're not going to be premiership favourite.
Well,
but
they've done it before, Pez.
They have done it before.
Twice now. Twice they've come from not the top 4 to make a grand final.
Oh, well, good on them. And if they can do it again, good luck to them. But I've called out 3 sides here out of 8 that are not contenders. So you got Collingwood, you got Fremantle, and you got Bulldogs. In Pez's book, cross them all out. This game, I'm steering clear at the moment. I need to see teams. I need to see lineups. I need to see matchups before I put any of my hard-earned on. I think Fremantle try and shut the Bulldogs' run down somehow, play behind the ball. And will they be able to score enough? They need to kick accurately and be efficient going inside forward 50. I think Angus Brayshaw is a great matchup in the middle, and I'm interested to see where Tom Liberatore goes, because I love watching him for the Bulldogs as well. And if the Bulldogs can't clunk their marks, and Jamara Ugle-Hagan, Aaron Norton can't hold on to those contested marks inside forward 50, because that's what they'll need to kick goals, they're not going to kick a high enough score. So I'm leaning towards Fremantle at the minute, but I need lineups to come out and matchups for me to have a look and put any of my hard-earned out.
Yeah, I love what you're saying here, Piers, because it is a really tough game to predict. Fremantle have a couple of headaches at the selection table looking at that forward line. Taberner hasn't been able to get back into that side, but, when you look at their forward line, he's probably the only real forward that I can actually see, taking a game by the scruff of the neck. I know Loeb did it the other week, Piers, but I don't see him being able to do that consistently. He hasn't been able to do that consistently, so they've got a selection dilemma there. The Dogs, though, that they have been, there's a reason that they limped into finals. There's a reason that they were worrying on a game to whether they make the 8 or not. I think there's something wrong at the Doggies. I've said this all year, that I don't believe in the way that they play football. We know that I hate them, and I'll put that aside for a little bit, Pez. But there's a reason that they just limped in. because they haven't been good enough all year. And I think that, they're actually been very lucky in the card that they've drawn in terms of Fremantle, because they've been hit by injuries. And Fremantle, the way they've played early in the year, should have been sitting in that top 4. Hopefully they can get that all together on the selection table, and then they come out and thump the Bulldogs, Pez, and I'll put my hating Bulldogs hat back on.
Cream rises to the top here, you reckon?
I think it does. I think that I think Fremantle will get the job done. I'm not predicting a large victory. I think it'll be about 10, 15 points. I don't mind them covering the line. I think the lines was pretty low, isn't it, Pez? What was it? It was 14.5 actually.
It'd be similar to the Melbourne.
I don't think
line.
they'll cover that line, but I think it'll be about a 7-10 point game. I'm not putting any money down on the game per se, but in my multi pairs I have included Fremantle. I think they get the job done pretty easily.
All right. I didn't mention in my multi, but I don't have head-to-head or anything like that. But I haven't done a cheeky. We've gone through all 4 matches here, Source, but my bet slip looks pretty clean because I've only got the top half filled out. There's only 5 games, or 4 games, but 5 bets that we can do with the multi. So my multi's here, and my multi is cheeky.
Cheeky!
I've just gone the under narrative. So
All of the unders.
all of the unders
Love
here.
it.
Bet 365 with that little bit of a boost. Brisbane, Richmond under 177.5. So I've doubled up on that bet as well, Source, because I've got 2 units on it in the game. Geelong, Collingwood under 164.5. Melbourne, Sydney under 161.5. And then Fremantle Bulldogs under 148.5. So I'm kind of hoping
Gone real low.
I'm kind of hoping that Fremantle, can get the job done and defend against these doggies, or the doggies are very, very inaccurate or something like that. But I've put a cheeky 10 on it. It's paying $14.53.
Nice, Pez.
So we'll see how we
nice.
go with the under multi.
Yeah, the under narrative. I like that little. Hopefully, it doesn't come a staple in Pez's bet slip because it hasn't got enough wordplay on it. So, all right, yeah, hey. If I'm struggling, all right, I've got to find a way to bring you down with me. I've just gone a 2-leg Pez. I had my bonus from 2 weeks ago, which I had a bit of a conundrum. Or not conundrum, I had a bit of a panic attack on the other morning. I got up and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't put my bet on. I've lost my bet. I lost my bonus bet from 2 weeks ago, but it was still there. $50 bonus bet, Pez, 2 legs, Geelong and Fremantle. I think they get the job done. Nice little odds of $2.04. Nice 102 return there, hopefully.
Little Saturday special, double header back to back in the little bonus multi.
As I told you, Pez, I'll be sitting at the Union, a couple of roffies, getting right on it.
I will speak about your performance because
I've struggled.
No, you came to the party in the bet slip. Talking your bet down in the Melbourne-Sydney game, maybe not, but
I was talking through
you spoke some sense and you
talked
spoke
about the
what
analysis
you're
of
saying,
it.
and if you are not that confident in your bet, I don't know how you're going to get the punters to follow along with you.
I don't need them to follow along. I just wanted to be very clear that I just don't think that Melbourne is the team that everyone is paying them to, and I'm sick of hearing this turning the switch. I'm talking about more my sport analysis and making sure that I'm proving a point there. And if I don't put my money where my mouth is, Pez, well, then it's only an opinion.
Yep. Well, you flick your switch and then you go on and do that.
You flick your switch. That was so aggressive. You flick your switch.
It's only Tuesday night. I'll flick the switch of
That's why I'm not ready, Pez. I'm extremely out of routine. Normally we're doing a Wednesday night for a Friday night, but they've brought back Thursday night footy, and then we're recording on a Tuesday. Even when you were messaging me about the Tuesday coming there, I couldn't work out what day it was. I still said Wednesday, so I'm not prepared.
Yeah, but we've got to do it. In
the mindset.
I'm not going to be here, so you can't do the pod without me here.
Easily do it without you.
Well, maybe you should
I'd still be in the positive.
Maybe you should have tried on the Wednesday. You would be in the positive, and it's good to go. So our bet slips will be out at Behind the Bound. We've put the promotions out there that we see at the moment. If you've got any to add them to the thread at Behind the Bound. It helps everyone out there on Twitter. Give us a follow, give us a like, give us a retweet, see what you can do.
Make sure you also do a comment, or not a comment, what's it called? A review, 5-star review, Pairs on, I can't even talk, an Apple and Spotify. It helps all other listeners be able to find us. So if you've got some mates that love a bit of a pun and they love hearing rubbish and me talk dribble, then jump on there, jump the 5-star review there, and then just talk trash about how terrible my bet and performance was tonight.
Yep. So if Sauce has got a 2-star performance, I've got a 5-star performance. Just average it out to 5 stars and still give us the 5 stars. I'm Pez. Enjoy the first week of finals. Peace out.
I'm still Sauce. We'll catch up next time. And as always, if you're having a bet responsibly.